We're a team. We're in it together. I back him 1,000,000%, and I promise you he will be in a mega fight in maybe Philadelphia in March or April time.
I don't believe you.
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. If I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? It's your boy Dr. PG NGM. Praise God to get money back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, man. I don't know what time it is. The doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. We just heard Eddie Hearn guarantee that the fan base of boxing, not just Boots Ennis, but the fan base of boxing will be satisfied with Jaron Ennis's next fight, you know what I'm saying, which will happen in March or April. He said it'll either be a unification or a big name.
Bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit, 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 bullshit!
And I'm like, is this man fighting in the 147-pound division? Because who's the big name? I mean, maybe it's a big name if Boots is fighting himself. He's going to fight a mirror image of himself. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Now, all jokes aside, though, let's be for real. You know, Jaron Boots Ennis, if he goes against the other champion in, let's say, Mario Barrios, he can't really do that, right? Because he's with the WBC and he's occupied contemplating whether he's going to fight Conor Benn or Manny Pacquiao. Notice how neither one of them are Jaron Boots Ennis, you know. And for the WBA, which is Stanionis is the belt holder in that division, he's occupied fighting his mandatory in Shakram Giyashov. And let's go to the WBO with Brian Norman Jr. You know, he's supposed to be fighting Derek Cuevas, right? That had to get rescheduled due to him sustaining an injury that had it postponed from his original date on the Keyshawn undercard to now sometime at the top of the year in 2025, good Lord willing. So it seems like all the champions are occupied as far as the unification goes. And, you know, I don't know if they'll be available come March or April, you know. And now as far as the big name goes, I mean, there's really no big name in 147-pound division, you know. Like I said, Mario Barrios is the most decorated champion, so you know he's been in the ring with the likes of Keith Thurman, the likes of Gervonta Tank Davis, and the likes of your Dennis Ugas, you know, who shared the ring with Pacquiao before. So he would, you know, undoubtedly be the most decorated champion at 147. But like I said, he's occupied, so the next person would have to be Conor Benn, right? Conor Benn just recently got off a suspension, right? He's been cleared.
We do not let people who are on the juice discuss real athletes. That's all.
So he's back in action and he's on Matchroom. So Eddie Hearn could easily facilitate that fight since they're both on Matchroom, and that's an in-house, in-stable fight. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen, you know what I'm saying? And, but I would like that fight, you know. But I will say this, though. Before we doubt Eddie Hearn, which is easy to do right now because his reputation looking a little shaky, baby, with all these things and disappointing fights that he's making. But to be fair, this is only Boots' second fight under the Matchroom label, under the Matchroom banner, you know, under the Matchroom stable. So we have to be a little patient, I would say, because I do think Eddie Hearn is a great promoter. But not only that, like I said, this is only a second fight. Remember the first fight? How easily do we forget, man? We just we're so caught up in living in the moment and living in the now. We forget what happened a few months ago. Remember the IBF called their mandatory in Cody Crowley? That was the first person that he was supposed to fight under Matchroom. But Cody Crowley had an eye injury that he claimed he didn't fully recover from yet. So he had to pull out. And guess what? Instead of removing the fight date entirely, Eddie Hearn pivoted and found a late replacement in an alternative bout against David Avanesian under short notice. But check this out. It still wasn't Cody Crowley, so it did not satisfy the mandatory, meaning his next fight will have to satisfy the mandatory if he stayed at 147. Fast forward to his last fight against Karen Chukadjian. Cody Crowley was called again to fight, but he said, I'm still not ready. So the IBF removed him, boosted Conor Benn up the rankings, and Karen Chukadjian, you know, he occupied the once vacant spot by Cody Crowley, and now he was the mandatory, and it happened to be a rematch, a fight that we didn't want. You know, and Eddie Hearn was contemplating whether or not they're going to keep it or go to 154, but because they stayed as opposed to relinquishing their title, they decided to stay with it and go through the mandatory defense. That fully indicates that he wanted to stay at 147. So why the hell would he go through all that, fight a guy that's less intriguing, a guy that we already seen before, a guy that he's beat? Why would he do that again to satisfy a mandatory if he planned on moving up definitively? So it lets you know that they were still considering some things. So I just say, just be a little patient with Eddie Hearn, especially with Jaron Boots Ennis, and stop being so thirsty to call people ducks, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like I said, we just had Thanksgiving. You ain't had enough bird yet? Go get you some leftover turkey, bro. I'm sure you still got some in your funky ass fridge. You know what I'm saying? You looking for ducks like you hunting. You know, like you Elmer Fudd looking for ducks and rabbit.
Just a darn minute. Where do you get that duck season stuff?
You know, it's crazy to me, man. But yeah, just give him some time. Be patient. Like I said, I'm very doubtful because I just don't even know if the personnel is there at the 147-pound division to give us a big name fight like he's promising. But, you know, boxing moves with fluidity, right? And even though it seems like right now, in the imminent future, in the immediate future, and what's going on, the conversations, the negotiations that are being publicized, it seems like all of the champions at 147, being Brian Norman Jr., Stanionis, and Barrios, seems like they're occupied with other opponents. But you never know how things go, man. Maybe Brian Norman won't fight Derek Cuevas, and they'll make a unification with Boots. Maybe Barrios won't fight Pacquiao or Conor Benn, and they'll make a unification with Boots. Maybe Conor Benn, like I said, obviously won't fight Barrios, and they'll make an in-house fight with the big name. He's probably the biggest name in the 147-pound division. The guy who just came off a suspension. You know, the guy who's a big shot in England. You know, has a legendary father in Nigel Benn. Maybe he won't fight Pacquiao, and maybe he won't fight Barrios, and maybe he'll fight Boots, or have Boots versus Benn. So you never know how things may unfold. But I just say, just hold your horses and give him a chance, man. Remember, this is only his second fight. He's only had 2 fights with Matchroom, and this will be his 3rd fight where he's free to do what he wants, because the other 2 were clouded and overshadowed by IBF mandatories, you know. So yeah, that's all. That's just my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it. Do you believe Eddie Hearn? Are you fed up with Eddie Hearn? Are you fed up with Boots? You know, say, do you still think he's a duck, or are you gonna be like me and just exercise a little bit of patience? Patience is a virtue, my brothers and sisters, my brethren and sistren, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and lads, for my English brethren. You know what I'm saying? One time for y'all. Boo. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that, man. Drop it in the comments. Let me know. Am I tripping? Am I being too lenient, or am I onto something with my assessment? Don't forget to hit that like button. But most importantly, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.